The modern rap scene is chock full of controversy, and nobody embodies controversy quite like DaBaby. His energetic and brash style has won him a devoted fan base, but it has also earned him a reputation for being controversial and divisive. Raised by robbers in his adolescent years, wearing nothing but diapers in the street, front page of XXL freshman cover, 8 Grammy nominations, beating up a man in a bowling alley, to shooting one of his fans in the gut, this man's career has been a roller coaster, which unfortunately is on its way down. We're gonna go through the systematic timeline of his meteoric rise to the top, his peak and downward spiral, as he went from an icon and the bad boy of rap to absolute meme material. Let's get into it. Childhood and upbringing. Jonathan Liddell Kirk was born in Cleveland, Ohio on December 22, 1991, and moved to Charlotte when he was 7 years of age. This was where he would spend a lot of his childhood. Jonathan grew up surrounded by crime and raised by people he described as robbers, such as his Uncle Rick. He followed in those footsteps and claimed he was involved in street activities at the age of 17.
You were raised by robbers?
Some of them was robbers. Yeah.
By the age of 21, he was already rich. With his expensive jewelry, expensive foreign cars, and an expensive condo in downtown North Carolina, Jonathan Kirk has never shied away from his gang-related past and street antics while being interviewed. In 2013, at the age of 24, shortly after getting pulled up for possession of marijuana and a concealed weapon, he decided it was time to take his talents to the studio. He reportedly sold his cars and condo and invested it into his music career. The steady grind begins. DaBaby now became Baby Jesus, the chosen one according to him. The stage name was not exactly the smartest of names, considering the religious attitude of the southern United States. Being no stranger to the grind, he and his crew did everything to promote his music and product by putting up his posters and stickers on any single object that had a surface. He was also aggressive in promoting his social media presence. At some point, everyone in Charlotte probably knew who he was. From 2014 to 2017, Baby Jesus dropped over 10 mixtapes, starting with Nonfiction, his debut mixtape consisting of 8 tracks, found only on SoundCloud. He followed up with the God's Work mixtape series and Baby Talk mixtape series. To be honest, his early catalog of music is a bit of a mess. A lot of them can't be found at all. Some are on Spotify, some are on Apple Music, and some are on SoundCloud. The biggest track from his series of mixtapes was the track Gorilla Glue. During this time, he also performed at numerous local shows and did everything he could to get his name out there. He eventually dropped the name Baby Jesus and rebranded it as DaBaby. A spark of controversy. DaBaby had put in the grind and the effort, but in the rap game, where countless artists are churned out and looking for their big break, it can be difficult to stand out. However, DaBaby is a bit of a marketing genius and leveraged the idea of being remarkable to go viral. He was familiar with the purple cow saying. It's a famous saying which goes something like this. You drive down the street, you see a cow, you keep driving. But you drive down the street and you see a purple cow, you stop. The purple cow is remarkable and it's worth making a remark about. You stop taking pictures of the purple cow and share it online. Now imagine it's not a purple cow, but a 25-year-old man in a diaper. This is what DaBaby needed to put him slightly over the top. He just needed to get his name and his product out there. He needed to go viral. And he achieved this initially by showing up to the South by Southwest Festival in Austin, Texas with nothing but a diaper and a towel on his head while rocking a fresh pair of Jordans.
But you knew it was going to get on the internet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you're kind of, I mean, you know, trolling is a general kind of term.
No, I was marketing.
The next controversy was what put him completely over the top, but it came at the expense of someone's life.
No one has been charged in last night's deadly shooting that happened inside the Walmart in Huntersville.
In November 2018, he was shopping in Walmart when he came into contact with 2 men. His version of events states that the men were trying to provoke him so they could pull a gun out. But witnesses and security tape show that DaBaby was the aggressor and the initiator of the event. DaBaby eventually shot one of the men, Jalen Craig, in the abdomen. He bled out and died minutes later in the aisle. This was the final piece in the perfect storm for DaBaby. Previously, he was just known as the strange man in the diaper. As funny as it sounded, it was just seen as a stunt or a gimmick. But when you hear that the strange man in the diaper shot and killed someone in Walmart, you're compelled to pay attention to the strange man and ask who he is and what he's about. He used this newfound fame from the Walmart incident to push his street credibility on social media, as well as having his first album about to drop. Diapers and shootings aside, his career received a massive boost when he was signed to Arnold Taylor, a big shot radio promoter and president of South Coast Music Group label. Taylor was responsible for the early rise of Southern rap stars Future and Yo Gotti. He managed to get a short distribution deal from Roc Nation where he dropped the mixtape Blank Blank. This proved to be his breakout in late 2018 and featured close friend Stunna 4 Vegas. This mixtape features the track Walker Texas Ranger and gave him his only Genius interview. Major bidding wars started for DaBaby and he ended up with the massive 7-figure deal at Interscope Records. 2019, year of DaBaby. On March 1st, 2019, following the Interscope Records deal, DaBaby's first album, Baby on Baby, had 13 tracks and featured artists such as Offset, Stunna4 Vegas, Rich Homie Quan, and Rich the Kid. On this album, he references historical rap elements and personalities such as Suge Knight in the lead single Suge. The lead single reached number 7 on the US Billboard Hot 100. The song was later nominated for Best Rap Performance and Best Rap Song at the 62nd Annual Grammy Awards. Baby on Baby debuted at number 25 on the Billboard before rising to number 7. On the same album, DaBaby also called himself Tupac of new shit. At this point, he was starting to experience a rapid rise in the industry, as he featured on countless other tracks with prominent artists such as Camila Cabello, Post Malone, Trippie Redd, Lil Nas X, Megan Thee Stallion, Quality Control, and Dreamville Records. DaBaby was featured on the cover of Double XL as part of the freshman class of 2019. Later that year, in August, he announced his second studio album, Kirk, a tribute to his father, who died shortly after the release of his debut album, Baby on Baby. The track Intro was the promotional single and peaked at number 13 on the Billboard. It was an introspective track that talked about his grandmother and father who died while he was coming up as a rapper. 2019 was truly the year of DaBaby in the industry, and he closed the year having the most Billboard entries with 22 different tracks. Sustained success. 2020 was no different from 2019. On April 13, 2020, he announced on Twitter that his third studio album, Blame It On Baby, will be released on April 17th. The album received mixed reviews but still achieved commercial success, debuting atop the Billboard 200 with 124,000 units sold in its first week, becoming Baby's second #1 album. It also produced his highest charting song, Rockstar, featuring Roddy Ricch, which spent 7 non-consecutive weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reached #1. It also received a Grammy Award for Record of the Year nomination. In May 2021, he temporarily surpassed Drake's monthly listeners of 52 million to become the most streamed artist. He was surpassed by Lil Nas X a few weeks after. In his 3 years of mainstream success, he had billions of streams, 8 Grammy nominations, and multiple certified platinum records. But all that was about to change. DaBaby's downfall. Dating back to 2020, DaBaby had been inciting controversy around him. But in 2021 and 2022, all hell broke loose for DaBaby and his antics. There were high-profile and low-profile blunders from the North Carolina native. Let's start from the bottom till we reach the top. At the beginning of 2020, he got detained in Miami in connection to a robbery investigation, where DaBaby assaulted a concert promoter for allegedly shorting him on $10,000. For retribution, he stole his $80, iPhone, and credit card, before dousing the victim in apple juice. Yes, apple juice. It's the little details that make a great story. When he was brought in for questioning, it was discovered that he had an outstanding warrant on his record for a battery charge in Texas, where he reportedly assaulted a kiosk worker at the Dallas airport. Then, just a few months later, in March 2020, he slapped a female fan at a club when she was requesting a picture. He later apologized on his Instagram by explaining that he could not see because the fan used the flash of her phone to almost blind him. In February 2021, he dropped the song Beatbox/Freestyle, where he held up a picture of JoJo Siwa, a kid YouTuber, and called her nasty names. This was one of the first things that turned audiences against him because he was beefing with a literal child. He eventually apologized by telling her his daughter was a big fan of hers and that the wordplay went over people's heads. In a viral clip, DaBaby was seen mocking and clowning a flight attendant for not combing her hair properly.
You gonna pay all that for that flight, you gonna comb your head. Straight up. They dog. You gonna pay all that? You go comb your head, the least you could do.
On April 7, 2022, he apparently tried to kiss a fan. He appeared to be very intoxicated and was caught up with a group of people outside the club. He targeted one woman, grabbed her face, and made an attempt to kiss her, and it didn't go well. He was left looking stupid, and he went on Instagram to defend himself, saying he didn't actually want to kiss her. Just 6 days later, DaBaby was in the headlines again, this time for shooting a man in his leg for trespassing in his house and calling his name.
Charlotte rapper DaBaby was home last night during a shooting on his property. That's according to the Troutman police chief. DaBaby was not injured in all of this.
In April alone, DaBaby did something newsworthy every week. On the 22nd of April, just 9 days after shooting the man's leg, he sucker punched his own artist, Wisdom, backstage at the Summer Jam 2022. Now things started getting out of hand. Remember when Megan accused Tory Lanez of shooting her in the feet? Tory was charged with felony assault for the crime. Then he and DaBaby had a collaboration not soon after on the track Scat. DaBaby and Megan were previously super tight, as as they had collaborated on some projects before. This collaboration between Tory and DaBaby left Megan with a bad taste in her mouth. Then she went to Twitter to vent about DaBaby being hypocritical in their friendship. DaBaby responded that he had no bad energy toward her, but at the Rolling Loud concert, after Megan got off the stage, DaBaby came out and invited special guest Tory Lanez to perform their track, with Megan watching from the sideline. But this was just the beginning of the major bombshell. The next thing DaBaby was about to do would erase him from Hollywood's good books forever. Before he got off stage, he went on to do something even stupider, something that will affect his career as he had never seen before. Taking a short break from his set, he uttered some totally inappropriate homophobic remarks. He suggested that gay men were promiscuous, dirty, and disease-ridden.
You didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. Put a cell phone light in the air. Lady, if your smell like water, put a cell phone light in the air. Fellas, lights up. Fellas, if you ain't sucking in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights in the air. Let's be real about this shit. Yeah, keep it real.
This speech was met with instant and widespread backlash from the internet. In the ensuing days, celebrities came after him like Dua Lipa, Elton John, and Madonna. With the uproar getting bigger, he decided to apologize, kinda. With his half-hearted apology, people had had enough. Partners like Boohoo Man Clothing cut ties with the rapper. Scheduled performances were canceled like Lollapalooza in Chicago, Park Life Festival in England, and the Government Ball in New York City. In a different interview, DaBaby gave a dollar value for how much the controversy is worth to him.
I had $30 million worth of shows on the schedule before December 31st. I was gonna buy my private plane, but it is what it is. It go how it goes.
DaBaby has had to cancel an upcoming concert in New Orleans at the Smoothing King Center after he failed to sell up to 500 tickets for a venue that can house up to 14,000. After a year of dangerous and reprehensible behavior from DaBaby, internet had a field day with this news. 6 months later, he was invited back to Rolling Loud, but the audience unforgivably threw drinks at him. This made him become a total meme online, and he got clowned for almost anything he did, even to the point of a now suspended Twitter account being created to check if DaBaby had done anything headline worthy every day. Approaching rock bottom. His recent album, released in September 2022, Baby on Baby 2, debuted at number 35 on the Billboard and sold 16K units in the first week, which was 87% less than Baby on Baby, which sold 124K and debuted at number 1 on the Billboard. But DaBaby still gave himself a pat on the back for the tepid sales. Not bad for the blackball baby, he said on his Instagram stories. DaBaby is a complex and controversial figure in the world of rap music, and currently, there is no telling what the future holds for DaBaby. This so-called genius marketer might have no idea how to reverse his bad current publicity. Being blackballed is a one-way stop to obscurity and unemployment. His antics and controversies, which made him a viral sensation and global artist, may have eventually led to his downfall. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.